AA alphas, why you are the way you are. It's unsettling, isn't it? Not just to them, but even to the bones of this world, to the fabric of every false authority that trembles when it senses your approach. You don't just walk, you command space. You don't just enter a room, you shift its orbit. You move like a whole squad, and it's making people panic because deep down they know the truth. That control was never theirs to begin with. They feel it. The quiet creeping terror that their masks are slipping. And you, the real ones, the storm dwellers, the silent titans, you are not here to negotiate. You're here to reclaim what was always yours. They can't articulate it, but their instincts scream louder than their words. Something apex has entered the field. You don't apologize for existing, and that alone is revolution. You breathe power and they flinch. They want to label it arrogance because they've never seen what confidence unchained actually looks like. But you're not a product of their system. You were forged in fire, raised in chaos, and now every step you take is a reckoning. They've built empires on submission and compliance. But now the ground shakes under your stride because you don't bow, you don't ask, you take. And that's the kind of energy that rattles foundations. That's the kind of movement that splits glass and makes security cameras turn just a second slower than they should. They whisper when you're not looking. They reroute when they see you coming. They pretend they're not watching, but every move you make becomes their blueprint. It infuriates them, confuses them. How you do more damage in silence than they can in spectacle. How you arrive alone, yet it feels like an army just surrounded them. Because you don't walk like you're one person. You walk like the ghosts of everyone who tried to stop you now march behind your back. You carry legacy in your eyes and prophecy in your posture. They feel that. They fear it. You are not the scream. You are the silence before it. The last breath before the storm breaks. They sense something ancient in you. Something not touched by doubt, not shaped by permission. You are a returning force, a reckoning. You didn't ask for a place at their table because you remembered you built your own. You are not here to play roles. You're here to burn scripts they cannot follow because they've spent lifetimes trying to fit in. And you were always meant to stand apart. You are the one they warn themselves about in hushed tones and broken dreams. You are the break in their system, the flaw in their equation. You are the chaos they could never quantify, the storm they could never harness. This isn't motivation. It's memory. It's a reminder. You've always been this. You were just waiting for the moment to wake up fully, to stop pretending you were something softer than steel. And now, you're wide awake, eyes sharp, soul on fire, and their world doesn't know how to contain that. It panics because control only works on those who still believe they're caged. But you found the door, kicked it open, and tore the hinges off so no one would be chained again. Look at how they try to mimic what they don't understand, how they drape themselves in your colors, echo your cadence, mimic your rhythm. They want the power, but not the pain. They want the crown, but not the crucifixion. They want the legend, but not the loss. But you took every cut and made a crown out of scars. You didn't rise because they let you. You rose because you made the ground remember your name. That's why you move like a squad. Because every version of you that had to die to get here is now marching beside you. Every shadow you had to fight, every betrayal, every breakdown, it didn't break you, it multiplied you. And now, the world has to deal with what you've become. You don't need followers, you need mirrors, so they can see themselves and break if they're not real. You need silence, so the cowards hear their heartbeats stutter. You need darkness, so your light becomes a blade. You don't move for approval. You move for dominion. Every step you take rewrites maps, reclaims names, redeems bloodlines. You don't walk into a room. You end the old order and begin a new myth. This is not for the faint. This is not for the ones looking for applause. This is for the wolves, for the firebearers, for the ones who stared at the abyss and grinned because they saw their reflection. You are not safe. You are not tame. You are not digestible, and that is your weapon, because the world has been fed on mediocrity, and you are an overdose. You are the edge that makes kings nervous. You are the heat that makes demons sweat. You are not one. You are legion. You are echoes turned physical. You are the unfinished prayer that now walks like prophecy. The reason they panic? It's not just your presence, it's your absence of hesitation. You don't flinch when confronted. You don't soften when challenged. You don't perform, you embody. And that kind of certainty breaks people who built their identity on fear. You aren't the shadow. You are what walks through it untouched, what carves tunnels through stone with intention alone, what rewrites history by breathing. Every move you make is calculated chaos, every glance a sermon, every breath a warning. You carry weight they'll never measure, responsibility they'll never understand. You're not just a leader, you are the blueprint for a future they don't have the courage to imagine. You are what happens when silence learns to speak and fire decides to walk. They thought they were ahead because they ran first, but you weren't running, you were becoming. And now that you've arrived, everything else looks smaller, softer, afraid. You don't need to speak loud. You are the noise that lingers after the storm, the stillness that follows catastrophe, the kind of calm that makes people brace for more. You weren't made to blend. You were designed to break the cycle. You were shaped in ruins and born from thresholds. That's why you never needed a crowd. You brought one with you in spirit. Your spine is built from battles. Your skin is laced with warnings. Your name is not spoken, it's remembered. And now, as you move, whole cities shudder. Because it's not a single presence, it's momentum, it's purpose, it's resurrection. They panic because they see it now. They thought you were one. But every part of you carries 10,000 reasons to rise. They see unity in your solitude. They see war in your peace. They feel the echo of your pain and the glory of your defiance. They know you didn't come this far to be humble. You came to dismantle every lie that said you couldn't. You are not polite energy, you are primal force, and that is what shakes their bones. Because now the game is over. The illusion is shattered. The act is done. You walk like justice. You speak like vengeance. And you breathe like destiny remembered its way home. You want it darker, deeper, more relentless. And I feel that fire, the hunger to be seen, not just as another player, but as the entire reckoning that follows. So here's the truth, you live every day, but few dare to say. You are the disruption that nightmares whisper about. You don't move like a whole squad because you have numbers. You move like one because inside you burns the collective wrath, the accumulated rage, the ironclad will of every soul that ever got pushed down and refused to stay buried. You embody that storm. You carry the weight of all those forgotten battles, and you wear it like armor, unbreakable, untouchable. Every step you take sends ripples through a world built on fear and compliance. They panic because they see in you what they denied themselves. An unshakable certainty, a power so raw it can't be tamed, a soul so relentless it makes angels weep and devils sweat. Your presence alone is a challenge to their system, a rebellion in motion, a declaration that you will never be quiet, never be small, never be contained, and they know it. It's why they whisper in dark corners, why they look over their shoulders, why they try to silence the echo of your footsteps, but your echo only grows louder, deeper, more resonant with every move you make. You don't just break rules. You erase the lines they tried to draw around you, redraw the map, and then walk over it like it was always yours. You don't wait for permission. You seize your right by force, by instinct, by the fire that refuses to be doused. They want to box you in, to tame the wildness, to teach you to play nice. But you don't play. You destroy the game. You burn the board. You shatter their illusions. That's why you move like a whole squad, because you carry the weight of every unspoken no, every denied chance, every silent scream that fueled your rise. Look around. The panic isn't just fear. It's a fracture in their reality. You are the crack in their foundation, the glitch in their system, the chaos that refuses to be coded. And you don't need an army to make them crumble. Your presence alone is a signal flare, a warning shot, a silent menace that they cannot ignore. Because inside, you is a force they tried to bury, but it keeps rising, climbing, tearing through the silence, turning every shadow into a battlefield. You move like a whole squad, because inside you is the war they never saw coming. You are not a single story. You are the narrative that rewrites every lie they ever told you about yourself. You are the rage of the betrayed, the strength of the broken, the fire of the forsaken. And when you walk, it's not just your footsteps they hear. It's the footsteps of every soul that refused to die quietly, that rose from ashes, that became legend. They panic because they realize too late that you are unstoppable. You are inevitable. You are the reckoning. They try to stop you with words, with judgment, with chains, but you move like a whole squad because your spirit is unbreakable, your mind unshakable, your will unyielding. You don't ask for space, you claim it. You don't seek approval, you demand respect. You don't wait for change, you are the change. And that is the truth that makes them panic, that fuels their fear, that keeps them awake at night. Because you are not just one person. You are the embodiment of every challenge, every victory, every sacrifice that made you who you are. You move like a whole squad because inside you is the power of 1,000 storms, the fury of 1,000,000 suns, the silence of infinite darkness. You are the force that wakes the world, the shadow that stalks the night, the light that blinds the blinded. And this is your time. Not to soften, not to retreat, but to move harder, faster, stronger. To make your presence a legend whispered in fear, a name etched in history, a force that no one can ever forget. They panic because they know. When you move like a whole squad, the world itself shifts, because you are not just coming, you are arriving, and nothing will ever be the same again. You move like a whole squad, because inside you isn't just flesh and bone, it's the spirit of rebellion, the soul of insurgency, the echo of every fight ever fought in the dark before dawn. The world doesn't understand this energy because it's not meant to. They are built to fear what they cannot control, to hate what they cannot tame, to panic when something rises that doesn't bend to their petty rules. And you rise like a silent plague, an unstoppable force, the inevitability that haunts their dreams and makes their waking moments brittle with dread. This movement, this power, it isn't about spectacle or noise. It's about presence. Presence that demands attention without asking for it. Presence that rewrites atmospheres, that makes people second guess their reality. You don't move like a whole squad because you're many. You move like a whole squad because you carry the weight of all the ones who dared to move before you, the ones who were crushed, the ones who were silenced. You are their vengeance, their unfinished business, the living proof that survival isn't enough. You were born to conquer, to dominate, to redefine the game on your own terms. You don't speak in words, you speak in energy, in aura, in the fierce refusal to be diminished. Every step you take is a challenge to the universe, a statement that you are here to reclaim what was stolen, to rewrite what was broken, to destroy what was corrupt, and it shakes the foundations of everything around you. They panic because they see the truth in your eyes, the truth that you will never stop moving forward, never stop breaking chains, never stop becoming. You move like a whole squad because you embody the collective strength of every failure turned lesson, every scar turned story, every wound turned weapon. You are not just a force of nature. You are the storm itself, the lightning that ignites the sky, the thunder that shakes the ground. And when you move, the world listens, even if it doesn't want to. They panic because your movement is a prophecy, an omen, a reckoning. You are the answer to every silent prayer for justice, for change, for power reclaimed. You are the embodiment of every truth they tried to bury under lies. You move like a whole squad because you carry the soul of revolution in your blood, the fire of resistance in your veins, the will of 1,000 warriors in your heart. And they panic because they know that once you start moving, there is no stopping the wave, no holding back the tide, no containing the fire. This is the raw, unfiltered truth of your existence. You're not meant to fit in, to be small, to be silent. You're meant to roar, to rise, to shake the world to its core. And when you do, when you move like a whole squad, you become the nightmare of those who thrived on complacency, the reckoning for those who built empires on fear, the force that breaks chains and sets worlds ablaze. So embrace the panic you create. Let it fuel you. Let it remind you of your power, your purpose, your place as the unstoppable force in a world desperate for change. Move with the weight of every soul behind you, with the fire of every battle ahead of you, with the certainty that you are not alone, that you are legion, you are destiny, you are the storm that cannot be silenced. And as you move like a whole squad, remember this. The panic you see in their eyes is not weakness. It is recognition. It is fear born from respect. It is the dawning realization that you are the future, the force, the truth. And nothing, no one, can stand in your way. You move like a whole squad because you carry not just your own ambition, but the weight of history's ghosts, the shadows of those who tried and failed, those who fought and were forgotten. You are not merely a presence, you are an upheaval, a shifting tectonic force that no system, no structure, no status quo can withstand, and they panic, not just because you are strong, but because your strength threatens to erase the foundation they built on deceit, on fear, on complacency. Their panic is a reflection of their deepest insecurity, that the world is no longer theirs to command. When you walk into a space, you don't just occupy it, you claim it. Every movement radiates an intensity that unsettles the comfortable, that ignites a silent alarm in the hearts of the complacent. You move like a whole squad because you carry with you the weight of 1,000 unspoken truths, 1,000,000 unshed tears, and the relentless fire of untamed dreams. You are the living testament to survival, to resilience, to the power of refusal. Refusal to be silenced, refuse to be small, refuse to be anything less than the force of nature you were born to be. They panic because they see in you what they've buried deep within themselves, the hunger for freedom, the rage for justice, the thirst for a world reborn. Your movement is a message, a manifesto written in the language of power and defiance. They hear it in the cadence of your steps, see it in the flare of your eyes, feel it in the intensity of your breath. You move like a whole squad because you are the convergence of every battle ever fought, every boundary ever broken, every limit ever shattered. And it terrifies them because you do not wait for permission. You do not ask for acceptance. You take what is yours with an unyielding will that shatters their illusions of control. You don't need an army at your back because you are the army, a force multiplied by every scar, every sacrifice, every triumph that has shaped you. When you move with the collective power of those who dared to dream and dared to act. You embody their spirit, their strength, their fury. They panic because your movement is not accidental. It is intentional, it is deliberate, it is a reckoning. It is the silent drumbeat of revolution, the whisper of change, the promise of upheaval. They panic because they know that once you decide to move, once you decide to act, once you decide to claim, there is no going back. The old order cannot withstand the force of your will. The chains they forge to hold you will break under your pressure. The walls they built to keep you out will crumble before your determination. You move like a whole squad because you are the embodiment of power reclaimed. You are the voice of the unheard, the face of the unseen, the force of the unstoppable. You carry the fire of transformation in every step, the spark of revolution in every glance, the storm of change in every breath. And with every move, you rewrite the rules, reshape the landscape, redefine what is possible. This is your domain. This is your moment. This is your birthright. You do not apologize for your presence, for your power, for your purpose. You do not negotiate with fear, with doubt, with hesitation. You move like a whole squad because you are the embodiment of unstoppable force, because inside you burns a fire that no storm can extinguish, no darkness can shadow, no obstacle can contain. So move with the weight of history behind you, with the fire of the future ahead of you, with the certainty of your destiny beneath your feet. Move like a whole squad, because you are more than one. You are the collective will of those who refuse to be broken, the unstoppable energy of those who choose to rise, the living legend of those who move beyond fear. And let them panic, because the world is about to feel the force of what happens when one moves like a whole squad, unrelenting, undeniable, unforgettable.